But the intent was there, and the mindset was there, which is what we were looking for.
You got a lot of guys that running back, obviously, that are vying for playing time, just sort of opening salvo in camp. How does that group look to you, and maybe who in that group has got off to a good start?
Yeah, well, it's still work in progress. We're rotating 5 guys. Marquis Step, the transfer, he's done some really good things, and this is really his first time taking reps because he was hurt in the spring, and he looks 100% ready to roll. Savion Morrison is rep with the 1s and 2s. He's doing some really good things. Gabe Irvin has made big steps, which we expected because you're a freshman, and your biggest steps you make. He was actually here in the spring, is from spring to fall, so he's doing some really good things. But they all, and so is Marvin, and Ramir. Ramir's probably having his best spring since he's been here. So we've got good competition there.
We heard Held on Sportsnet last night. I think that was recorded before camp, and he made a comment that Savion Morris is talent, but had to learn how to handle things off the field, stay healthy, eat the right things. Have you noticed that he did that, and how has that affected his performance in camp?
But yeah, that's exactly. I mean, one of his biggest hangups has been, and not always his fault, it's just been injured. He's had different things. He's had some bad luck with some injuries and got sick, and so missed a lot of practice, and we never really saw him. And so this spring's the first time we've been able to see him compete, and he's embraced it. And I'll give him a lot of credit. I think he did a good job of getting his body healthy in the offseason, which all those guys did. So he can physically, because running backs are going to get banged up. That's the nature of the position. And even though we haven't gone a live scrimmage yet, those guys are thudded, and they're taking shots, and they're running hard, and he's done a great job and hasn't missed a practice.
Man, Coach Frost said the other day before camp started, he'd like to know, he'd like to have a bell cow, one guy and then another guy. Everybody wants to know that sooner rather than later.
Sure.
Timetable on when you make such decisions. I know you're just
Yeah, no, we're only, I think today was practice 5, so we're kind of getting into it, and we'd like to get a definite 1 and then a 2, and the reason that is just so we can give him more of the reps, especially like right now we're installing our whole offense. We're exposing him to everything, but once we really start paring it down and doing the Illinois game plan, you want to have 1s, not just at his position, but every position, and you want to have 2s, but the 1s need a lot of reps, and so we're working on that, and yeah, sooner is always better than later, but we're very early into camp. Consistency, and that's not just a running back. That's every position. Who can we count on to do the right assignment? We ask our running backs to do a lot. We ask them to pass protect. We ask them to run down the middle. We ask them to catch balls. So who can do that the best on a consistent basis? And that's really every position. That's the quarterback. That's the offensive line. That's the receiver as well.
Hey, Matt, regarding Marquise, when you guys go full pads, do you expect that to be normal activity for him? Scott mentioned perhaps a pitch count. He was at media days last
Yeah.
week. So what you thought now with the pads coming tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, coming into this fall, we kind of thought, limited reps. Let's see what he can do. We don't want to rush him back too soon, but and see how he progresses. And he's been doing better than we thought as far as his health. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a practice by practice. I think he's ready to roll. In a scrimmage. If we had to play tomorrow, he'd be ready to roll. So we feel good about that. And yeah, he's kind of progressed a little bit faster than we thought he would from a health standpoint.
Matt, I know you mentioned on the radio in your past you've often had newcomers step into skill roles and play that first season. Are there some guys that have to jump on that? I mean, I know it's early, but that have impressed you through summer, kind of positioning themselves to do that are new?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's way too early because practice 5. It's really hard on the newcomers that just got here because we're installing so many plays, especially early on, and eventually we're going to start paring it down. So they get into the situation where they're thinking and they can't really play, and so it's really unfair to give those guys an evaluation other than their attitude's been awesome, and our new guys have bought into the system and they're fun to be around. So that's the most important thing. The other thing where we're a lot different on offense is we have a lot of guys returning from last year. So we've installed a way different spot this year as opposed to last year as far as experience. And so our install has gone a little bit faster. We've asked a little bit more. We put in more plays, which has kind of hurt our younger guys a little bit, but our older guys have been able to move forward, and we've been able to move at a faster pace. So I think we have more depth than we did last year. We have a lot more returning players, which is going to make it a little more challenging for the younger guys. And again, it's still early in camp, so we'll see.
The off-season evaluation of your red zone offense, what did you think you guys did well last year? And where do you have to get better? And it's been an issue for a couple of years. Predates your
Sure.
time. Why have touchdown passes been such a problem for so low for the last couple of years?
Well, good question. No, that's a good question. We're always about throwing more touchdown passes. The red zone in general is a point of emphasis. We're going to emphasize the heck out of it. That's when you win or lose football games, and we want touchdowns, not field goals, obviously. Part of being in the red zone, just like in the open field, is executing and not beating ourselves. It seems like last year we had, whether it was a penalty, turnovers, inopportune times, that has nothing to do with our opponent. That's us. So the biggest thing, executing, take care of ourselves. I mean, no penalties, protecting the football, doing the right assignment. And what that does, that gets you into where you're ahead of the sticks, whether it's the red zone of the field, where you can take more shots, and throw the ball down the field more, which has been a point of emphasis. So it's a combination of things, but I think the red zone's a lot like the open field. Now the red zone's harder. I mean, the defense has less space to cover, and so it really forces you to execute. And part of it's just it's a mindset saying, hey, I'm not going to have as much room. I got to win my one-on-one battle, whatever position I am, and competing. And because the defense, that's a big deal of defense too. They want to stop you when they're in the red zone.
That was Dave Urban's pass blocking for a true freshman. How big of a factor will that be on whether or not he earns playing time this year?
Sure. His pass blocking is really good. That's a strength. Pass blocking is a lot about technique, but at the end of the day, it's about toughness. And that's what I've been really impressed with Gabe. And Gabe's talented, but he's very physically tough. So he runs the ball hard between the tackles. He'll run through contact, and then he's not afraid to take on a linebacker coming off the edge. So that's a big quality that we look for in all our players is physical and mental toughness.
Matt, how excited are you about those tight ends? I mean, it looked like all the NFL scouts were really watching those guys today. I mean, it seems like those top two have really stood out, and you have to probably like where they're at right now heading into the season.
No question. Yeah, the scouts should be looking at those guys because, I think my last year at Oregon, we had 3 tight ends that all went to the NFL, and these are the best 2 that I've ever been around from a consistency, leadership, and just the way they practice. Coach Beck does a great job with them. They're making plays. We ask a lot from our tight ends because they have to be point of attack in the run game, but we also split them out as wide receivers, and they have to be able to make plays in the passing game. And so it's a lot on them mentally and physically, and they've done great. And they're leaders of our football team. I mean, the way they lead by example and how hard they practice is contagious, and it spreads to other guys.
Saw Omar Manning out there today. How has he been so far during camp, and has he been able to kind of pick up where he left off?
Sure. No, he's been really good. It goes back to the consistency. He's been very consistent. He's another guy that was, because of injuries last year, is kind of in and out of the lineup, especially during practice. And now he's healthy, and it's fun to see what he can do when he's healthy, and he's playing with confidence. Another first-year player that's been in the system for a year, so actually knows what he's doing, and so all that talent that we knew he had is starting to rise up to the top, and we're actually able to see it because he's confident what he's doing.
Ideally, how many receivers do you want to play? And it might not be a situation where you're looking for more, but you might have to pare it down. Ideally, how many do you like to rotate?
Yeah, we'd like to be able to play as many as we can. What I mean by that, our base personnel could be 2 tight ends, could be 3 receivers. We want to have a 2 deep that can at least go in there and function and play and make plays. Now, if we can play more guys, that makes everyone better because of rest, and guys are fresh. And we always talk about the end of the day, who's going to determine that is the players themselves. We're mix and matching different lineups. We got a lot of competition, which is making everybody better. But we'll keep seeing them. If we can play more guys, we'll play more guys. If we can only play 4 or 5 guys, we'll play 4 or 5 guys. But if it's close, it helps us as a football team, and not just a receiver at every position. The more guys we can play, the quarterback might be a little bit different. I think we have at least 6. I think we have more than that. I do. Our depth this year at receiver compared to last year is it's night and day, because last year a lot of those guys were first-year guys. Now they've all been a year in the system, so we actually feel like we have a good 3 deep that can go in there and function and play and compete in football games and have success. You're gonna make me forget guys. Okay. Let's see. In no particular order, but yeah, we talked about Omar. We talked about or Oliver Martin's having a good camp. Samari Torres is playing great. Wyatt Lure's playing great. Alante Brown is playing great. You know, he was another guy that was hurt last year that's healthy, that's doing a great job. Xavier Betts is doing some really good things. Brody Belt's doing some really good things. And that's not really talking about our freshmen. And again, I want to they're all doing a good job, but I want to hold on those guys until, make a fair evaluation once they kind of know what they're doing and get a little more confidence. But all 3 of those guys, Sean Hardy, KG, Grimes is doing a great job, and Latrell Novell doing a great job. So they're all doing a good job. Again, it's just too early, only 4 practices to evaluate those guys. Those guys weren't here in the spring. Like some of our freshmen were actually here in the spring, so they definitely got a kickstart. But the guys that are here this fall are doing a great job, but it's just too early to say where they're at in the rotation.
Hey, Matt, Will Nixon over there.
And he's another guy. I hope I mentioned him because he's another guy that's having a great camp. That's battling out for that 2R, and he's battling.
Yeah, I wanted to give you that.
Yep, thank you.
Throw that name away.
Appreciate you.
You mentioned Samori as a great mentor to him.
Yep.
And I know you liked his leadership in the winter and the spring. How has that even advanced through the summer and now in the first 5 practices?
Yeah. So first off, he leads by example. I mean, he handles everything like a pro. He seems like he never gets tired. He does everything full speed. So our players, and they see him have success, so our players kind of gravitate towards that. But he's also very humble. He helps out the other guys. He doesn't feel like a young guy because he's already helping out other young guys. Very humble, and then he's very driven. He's always wants to get better. He's kind of his worst critic. He always thinks he can do better, which is part of being a good football player. And he handles himself that way throughout the whole day. I mean, he's in the front row in meetings. He always wants to watch extra film. And so that's, as a coach, your best leaders are your players. And when they're doing things, especially they're making plays and they're doing things right, it rubs off on everybody else.
Something that Samori talked about after the spring game was his bond with Omar and how they've helped each other. I wonder, from your perspective, how big has having Samori, another older guy who's transferred in, been through a lot, how has that helped Omar stay on track?
I think it's been huge. I know they spend a lot of time together off the field, and I know Omar's another guy that kind of looks to Samari because of his experience and the way he's done things. And this is how you do things, and that's been a huge deal. Samari rubbing off on Omar, and yeah, I think not just Omar, but he's rubbed off on a whole bunch of guys. But yeah, it's been great for us.
It's sort of a general question, but how close did you get last year to being where you wanted to be in the run game, and what is the next step overall in running the offense?
Sure. Well, like every part of football, we're always in a state of constant improvement. We always think we can get better. We did some good things in the run game. I think we were actually second in the league in rushing. We got to be more consistent, just like we do in the passing game. But the run game fits in with the passing game. So the better you can throw the ball, it helps out your run game. And same with running the ball. If we can run the ball really good, we're going to get some good looks from the defense to throw the ball. And so we really want to be balanced and be able to do well at both. But not the run game and the passing game just get better as an offense. It's just the details. And what I mean by details, every position has their own specific things, but it might be a step here. It might be playing with lower pads here. It might be keeping our hands inside as an offensive lineman. So just really doing the details. And, as an offense last year, run game, pass game, we did some things that had nothing to do with our opponent where we beat ourselves, which is the exact opposite of details, when we turn the ball over or we have a penalty. And so that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to clean up first is the details as a whole offense of doing the right thing, doing our assignments, not turning the ball over, and reducing penalties.
How much is
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that he's always looked good to me, but I think he has lost a couple of pounds, but I think he's also put on some muscle. Yeah, he just looks faster, and he's always been. He's one of the better running quarterbacks in the country, and I think he's actually gained a step. So, tribute to him. You know, that's a big thing when you've been a 3-year starter and you continue to keep working harder and pushing yourself and change your body. That shows you how driven he is, and it's showing on the practice field. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I just feel like it's far away. It's like social distancing from the mic. First question.
What you got your group overall to pick up at the beginning of preseason camp about where they left off in the spring ball?
Yeah, for the most part. There's always those early camp, cobwebs, if you will, that you have to work through. But nevertheless, guys have picked up in a nice way. A lot of film that they had from spring ball. It's the beauty about having spring balls that got a lot of film to teach from, right, all throughout the summer. So happy about the way that they started, and we're working through some kinks, but nevertheless, like where they are.
It seemed like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you sort of had 4 spots you felt pretty good about in a right guard competition in the spring. Is that about the same now, or has there been shifting in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, there's a competition everywhere, but I'd say that right now, nobody has anything locked in. Everybody's fighting their tail off. And when I say locked in, and even words that I said after spring ball, was more comfortable, at these spots, and those, the right guard spot was a spot that we certainly need to make sure we shored up. But right now, it's fair game for everybody right now.
Would you like to have a starting 5, or could you see yourself having a swing guy that plays multiple positions and come in and help you at different times?
Yeah, we'd like to have 5 guys that we're pretty confident in, right? But there's always a case where you need a swing guy, and that's where I like where our depth is, because we have a few guys that have played multiple positions, and I think that as we continue to shuffle them around, and that's one of the things that we're doing right now is we're shuffling guys around, seeing what else they can play, if you will, especially the guys that are not working with the starting unit, and heck, a couple guys with the starting unit we're shuffling around to get some depth in other areas as well. So, as we approach season, you want to have a good confidence that the guys are, in some cases, asked to do a job that they've done before or they're familiar with. Whether it's a guard that's shifting over to center and snapping, and or a center that's shifting out to a guard or a tackle. In some cases, where that guy's confident in the assignment, and then also the technique of it.
What do you like about the place that Cam's at right now, mentally, physically, or just everything coming to Cam?
Oh, he's in a good spot. Cam's in a good spot mentally. He's in a good spot physically. He has a good rapport with his quarterback. So he's one of our emerging leaders. And when I say emerging, I'm not talking about just doing your job. It's about the guy to the right and to the left of you. That's where we are with him. It's heck, I just had a conversation with him right after practice, and our conversation was not about did you do your job? Which in the past that it was like, hey, what do we got to get better at? We got to get better at our non-snap hand. We got to get better at this. I got to get better at that. Whereas today's conversation was, you need to hold other guys accountable a little bit more with some of the details. It's not the fact they don't know their job, it's more detail. Keeping those guys dialed in and locked into what we're trying to get accomplished. And, if you're supposed to step with your right foot on a certain angle, then you got to do it. And there's no wiggle room to that. So that's where the guys are. There's a lot of horizontal leadership going on right now, and I'm proud of where Cam is in terms of his emergence as a big-time horizontal leader for us.
Did you get your beef jerky hat yet?
Say what?
Did you get your beef jerky hat yet?
Not yet. I got to get a damn beef jerky shirt that doesn't peel, so I'm on his tail about that. But yeah, I'll get my beef jerky hat. And next time I show up for one of these press conferences, I'll have it on. I told him, but I'm not paying for it.
I know Ross talked about how being physical is one of the three big components that you guys are really stressing. How much more physical can you guys be this year? And you like where you're at this year?
Oh, man. I don't think that there's a ceiling to being physical. I think, you're physical, and then you always are striving to be more physical in some regard. And I think that the standard of physicality continues to elevate every single day, every single play. So it's, tweaking the margins. How else can I strike that? How can I be more explosive through my hips? All the fundamental things about being physical that we talk about on a daily basis. We never want to just put our body on a guy. We want to explode and strike a guy. So in some regards, you're talking about physicality. You're talking about consistency, and I think that we're talking about consistency of effort and consistency of the strike mechanics and all the angles that you got to put your body in order to maximize your explosive power. So physicality is a mindset, but the standard is how consistent can I be in terms of being physical, play after play, drive after drive, and that's where we're trying to get to. When Coach Frost talks about being physical, it's about being consistent and having that mindset and that effort.
I know Corcoran only started one game last year, but how important was it for him to get a full game on tape, and also how big of a jump do you expect him to make this year? Maybe better.
I mean, it was awesome for him to get those first game jitters out, now that he's been through that. When we talk about a jump, the biggest thing, and we say this word jump, but again, going back to consistency, going back to knowing what you're doing, going back to confidence, those are the things that you're looking at for a guy like him that can put his feet in the ground, and now the game is a little bit slower to him. And that's the value in getting that first start, is that, there's all the things that come along with your first start. It's your first start, so it's sentimental value, and mom and dad are there. And it's just like all the things that really don't pertain to football that naturally creep into your brain because it's your first one. He's gotten over that hump, so now he has an opportunity to really dial it in to what he's supposed to be doing and being confident in what he's doing, and he's another emerging leader for us as well.
The jump that Vando and Sickerman made this offseason, if that's what you saw, seemed to be in the spring. How important is that for right now? Just your depth and your rotation and everything that you're asking these guys to do.
Ultra important. I mean, those are guys we're going to depend on this year. So those guys being available and those guys being productive, it's huge for us. Those guys know you're going to be depended on, and those guys have been as resilient and have persevered their tails off since they've been here, and they're getting everything that they deserve, that they've earned, that they've worked for. So kudos to those guys, and those guys are in there every day working their tails off.
Sickerman spoke highly of Henry Latoski. What have you seen from him and the way he's handled himself as a true freshman?
He's a mature kid. Henry came in as a mid-year guy, and he's always been mature. Heck, Henry was recruiting our class when he was committed. He was committed for a long time, and as mature a guy that you're going to come across. And one thing about him is that every single day he gets better at something. And that's what you look for. As an offensive line coach, man, there's so many things, there's so many variables, there's so many, you got pass, you got run, you got all these plays, and et cetera. Well, he's a guy that's going to work on one thing and make sure that he makes progress at that one thing, and then he's just going to move on, and he does it with such a blue head. I've talked in these press conferences about redhead, blue head. He's a kid that's going to keep even keel. You know, he's going to take coaching, and he's a very coachable kid. You talk about a guy being mature and coachable, you know, that's what you're looking for a young guy. As opposed to some of these young guys when they come in and, you know, they were the dude, they were the guy where they came from. And, you know, he's as humble and mature a kid as I've been around. And, you know, he's certainly a strong kid. So the sky's the limit for him. You know, he's just going to continue to get better. Coach who? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Yep.
Guys look different just coming back from the offseason. Tell me a little about the do you see that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coach Duval and Andrew Strop and those guys in the weight room have done an amazing job with these kids. You know, they have their routine by which, you know, they work the guys out over the summer. And even from spring ball throughout summer, as we head in the fall, you know, guys' body weights are down, you know, I'm sorry, their lean muscle mass is up, their body fat is down. Let me make sure I made that right, okay? So they're continuing to lean out. You know, fat boys, we got to have a little fat on us now too, you know. Can't be all lean, you know, then we'll start getting too many girls, right? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that was a joke, y'all can laugh. But anyway, so, no, they came back over summer and leaner and moving more efficient than, you know, when we had them in spring ball. And, you know, so again, those guys in the weight room working their tails off. And again, it's going back to the guys. Always got to take it back to the guys. The guys in the weight room, they don't allow guys to miss sets. They don't allow guys to, you know, you go in there and it's like going to practice. You know, there's a certain mindset that you take with you when you go in there. So there's a standard, so attack the standard day by day.
Hey, Greg, real quick, can you just describe, you're talking about that horizontal leadership within the position group. How would you describe where that is in the O-line? It seems like you got, you know, seniors removing freshmen, and there's a lot of, you know, mentoring going on. How valuable is that, you know, as a guy maybe going through that yourself, you know, and bringing along players, especially in that position?
Yeah, it's big. It's huge. You know, if you got a group of upperclassmen, if you will, that really care about the program and care about the position like our guys do, man, I mean, I go to practice now. I know Ethan's standing right there, but, you know, he knows it. Like, you know, you take the wrong step, you got your hands in the wrong spot. I damn near can't even get a word in. You guys all right? You got it. I'm like, can I coach them, please? Like, you know, but it's awesome because, you know, those guys are on top of the young guys. They're coaching each other. Like, they're determined to make sure that we're successful, that we know what we're doing and we're detailed, you know. And even for me, it's awesome because they make me better. You know, they'll ask me a question and, you know, one of the things about me is, you know, I don't have all the answers. I tell them right now, I don't have all the answers, but the answers I have, I know, right? But, you know, from time to time, you know, something can be tweaked. They're going to ask me a question like, hey, Coach, what do you think about doing this? And that's all leadership. That's all having confidence that, hey, we're all on the same page, fighting and moving in the same direction. You know, so just as much as those guys are coaching the young guys and coaching each other up, you know, iron sharpens iron. You know, I say it all the time to the boys. You know, as you guys hold each other accountable, you hold me accountable, I hold you accountable, and then, you know, we go from there. But talk about the vertical leadership versus horizontal leadership. You know, for a long time, even around here, it was vertical leadership. It was, you know, coach, player. You know, whereas when the players are coaching themselves and holding themselves accountable, now you're talking about horizontal leadership. And now you're talking about guys not only coaching, but also guys receiving, because that's the biggest part about it. There's always guys going to hold somebody accountable. But if you're giving the attitude like, man, screw you, right? Or if you're saying, thank you, I appreciate it. If you want to be coached, that's when horizontal leadership really, really makes a difference. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
How have you seen that kind of show up, guys coaching each other, being willing to be coached?
Yeah, honestly, with
we have a great group of guys on the offensive line. We did a lot of bonding stuff, especially over COVID, and I think it's really paying off for us. And I know even this is our fifth practice, and you could just feel the energy in the offensive line room of mutual respect and people wanting just to get better and better. It doesn't matter who's what spot somebody's playing. We're collectively meshing together, and I think we're elevating our level every day. So.
Are you seeing seniors and freshmen hanging out?
All the time. Yeah, you can't. The great thing about the offensive line room, I don't even know who's 1s, 2s, 3s, or 4s. Everybody's intermixed. People, you go to the training table, everybody's together. We're just one big family right now. So.
Obviously, you don't want to let any of your teammates down, but either present or past, who is a teammate you don't want to piss off if you mess up in practice because they'll get on?
Cam, he, out of everyone, he's probably the focal point and center. He takes him and Matt Sichterman, but Cam is a person that comes to practice every day and demands every rep to be perfect. And if you screw up, he'll let you know. And that's the guys we need in the offensive line room. I am extremely blessed to be the left guard next to him right now, and I feel like he just helps me elevate my game, and I try to do the same for him. And if he messes up, we're on each other's backs. So.
How far has he come in that regard? Because he had to come in and learn a new position here.
Yeah, he's jumped right in. Cam, he's really killing it right now, and he just I think this is his 4th year here. I think he's really embraced this. He's had too many. We've all had too many seasons. We just want to get this thing done, and I think that comes just every practice. If you see somebody slack, you just got to get on them and just nitpick. So.
What is, obviously there's a lot of excitement to get to August 28th and all of that. What's on the to-do list? Like what do you want to try to get better at still here in a couple weeks before you start game?
I just think overall, getting down the plays, we're still throwing in some stuff, and just really, I think the biggest thing is have an edge to you every single play, and don't take any plays off. If you could dominate the man in front of you over and over again, it doesn't matter if you have the right technique. It doesn't matter if if you miss the assignment or something. But if you keep hitting that guy over and over, by the 4th quarter, we'll be running the ball right down the middle. So.
Can you sort of describe how different it feels for you this year? I imagine last year, I mean, it was your first time playing full time. Also, the off season's all messed up. Like, what is it like to be going through sort of an uninterrupted?
Oh, it's awesome. And I think that's the biggest thing. We're certain we're playing the 28th this year. And I just think that's a lot more confidence because we have a end goal in mind. And I think, especially what I feel this year is last year we had all this uncertainty. We're certain this year, and we have a goal. And I think right now we're trying to accomplish, it doesn't matter any of the games, Illinois, the 28th, like you said, that's our goal right now. And I think we're coming in the mindset that we're going to beat Illinois, and then once Illinois is passed, then we're going to the next team. So.
How fast is it going to come? You guys have this 20 practices left.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's already the 5th practice. I think for me, it means that you can't take a practice for granted. You have to come every single day, and every rep counts. And you can't like I said, you can't take a play off because we have a job to get done. And I think the more you work, the better things are going to pay off. So.
A couple freshmen that came in here with a little bit of hype, Lutovsky and Prohaska. I know you're focused on your job, but what stands out about them?
Big guys, especially Henry, really solid guy. Teddy's as tall as Bryce, really tall. I'm always looking up to him. But the greatest thing I could say about those guys, they work every single day. And things might not be perfect, but and you see it on film that they're busting the tail every play and trying to get themselves better. And I love that about them. So.
Coach Austin is in charge of coaching them, but if you had to give them a piece of advice that you wish you had gotten when you came in here early, what advice would you give to them?
Hey, just take it one day at a time, and don't focus on all this thing. Just focus on one thing at a time and try to get better at it, and then help you become a complete player. So.
What does it mean for the linemen to get out there and get the full pads on?
Oh, it's awesome. And I think summer conditioning is great, and all this stuff, but it's just great to play football. And especially with pads, there's nothing like putting on a helmet and trying to pop up a defensive lineman, and it just feels great to be out there, and just love going to practice every day. So.
What is your personal confidence level now that you've got a year under your belt as a starter? Where's
Sorry.
your personal confidence level now that you've got a year under your belt as a starter?
You can't get too confident. You just got to go. Like I said, I always have things to work on, and things will come if you just come in the mindset of you're going to work every day. And that's where I'm at right now. Just doesn't matter if I'm 1, 2s, or 3s. I just want to come in and get better at something. And when the 28th hits, I'll be ready to go. So.
Coach Austin said on the radio that you had done at least a little bit of snapping. Is that something that comes naturally to you?
Yeah, like I started out with center when I first came here, and I just think you never know what's going to happen if how positions are going to play out, or someone gets down or anything. You just always got to be ready to jump in, and if they need me, it doesn't matter if I'm the 3rd or 4th string, I'll be there. So.
How beneficial do you think it was that Corcoran was able to start a game last year, get some game time under his belt, and how much of a jump do you think he can make this year?
I think it's awesome, and I really like that Rutgers game with Turner because I think that was a huge confidence builder, and I think that game itself showed him that he belongs in this league and he's going to do some great things someday, and just for that mindset, I think he's been working hard and can't wait to see what he does this fall. So.
He said after the spring game that he thought you guys had built a pretty good rapport during spring ball. Do you sense that?
Yeah.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah, I like I said, this is the closest our offense lines have been for a while. Just the same guys in the same room, and we've been golfing in the summer and just been hanging out all the time. So it's another thing with your teammates, but just being great friends off the field, I think that's plays huge dividends because you're willing to go the extra mile for that player. So. Right now, it's me, Bryce, Turner, and Logan Smothers. So we have a house north of town. So.
You guys protected Logan off.
Yeah, we're helping him stay protected. So.
You guys emphasize short yardage. I mean, you guys weren't bad at that last year. Was that an emphasis?
Always. I think when it's short yardage, it always falls on the offensive line, and I think that was, like you said, I think that's something we need to improve on, and just I think that's all comes from the mentality of we just got to move the guy in front of us, and I think, like I said, I think we're getting better at that, and we'll keep working on it. So.
All good?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.